Hello everybody, thank you for coming to the Windsor Library. I'm Vicki Chavez and I'm the Adult Services Librarian. So we're really excited to be hosting this Windsor Ready talk series. This is our second installment. We'll have a third one coming up next month. We are partnering with Diana Borges of COPE and with Christina Owens of the town. And just to let you guys know, since I mentioned it, we will be having another class on October 14th. I have flyers in the back, and it's navigating self-care and trauma, plus being prepared for smoke and how you can take care of yourself in those instances. Today we're going to be talking about CPR and self-defense, and it looks like we're all set up to do that. So thank you. Come on over, Diana.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. As Vicki said, we have monthly talks we call Windsor Ready Talks. I am Diana Borges with Windsor COPE, and COPE stands for Communities Organized to Prepare for Emergencies. Windsor COPE is part of COPE Northern Sonoma County, which is a nonprofit organization. It's about neighbors helping neighbors. So the organization helps you as a neighborhood organize together to build your own community and be ready for an emergency together. So an instance would be a large earthquake where we can't get out and first responders can't get in because of the roads blocked. Then that's when we're working together as our own local community to help each other. Today we're having the CPR and our self-defense. For CPR, we have our Sonoma County Fire District here, Karen Hancock, and Chad Hall will be leading you on how to use the mannequins to prepare. And for self-defense is Chris Hauth from Hauth's Family Taekwondo in Windsor. The way we're going to work it is we're going to break up into two groups. One group is going to be in here working on the mannequins, and then the other group Chris will take outside, and we will do about 25 minutes, and then I'll let you know when it's time to switch, and then you switch groups and you do the opposite. So right now I want to turn it over to Karen and to Chris to let them tell you what they're going to be doing.
I'll take a quick moment to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing and about myself here. I'm in the middle of actually doing part of my other job, which is emergency communications too. So my name is Karen Hancock. I'm here with my partner Chad Hall. I am the Community Outreach Specialist and Public Information Officer with Sonoma County Fire District. Chad is one of our fire inspectors and fire investigators. Why don't you come up here, Chad, just so you're in the view. And together we go out into the community and we meet with folks and we get to teach some life-saving skills. So you may have met us already. We've done fire extinguisher training, and today we're here to do hands-only CPR training. And just really quick, what that is, it's hands-only. We actually don't teach community members to give breaths anymore. So we're going to teach you hands-only skills. That way you have the power to save a life in your hands. And what we tell people is instead of doing nothing, you are now empowered to be able to do something to save a life. So we'll be back with you shortly, and we're looking forward to that. Anything else?
And recent studies have shown that the breaths aren't as important as the compressions. High quality compressions, along with an AED, could help you save a life. So
yeah. It definitely improves the outcome.
Definitely.
Chances, yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Hauth. I'm a 7th degree black belt, and I've had a Taekwondo school here in Windsor for the past 36 years. I only teach Taekwondo. Today's message is awareness, escalation of conflict and de-escalation of conflict. So we'll do a little bit of hands-on, but mostly try to instill a little bit of confidence and esteem when you're either at your house alone or you're out shopping. So we'll be asking some what-if questions. What are your major fears? Not doing a lot of hands-on where we won't teach you how to do a jump spin hook kick, but definitely help you with situational awareness and how you can de-escalate a situation if you run into one. So situational awareness is what I'm going to cover, and if you have any questions, feel free to bring them out with you. So thank you.
So what we're going to do now is break up into groups. So we're going to have this group that is going to stay here to start with the CPR. This group is going to go outside with Chris for self-defense, and then I'll let you know when it's time to switch. Thank you.
For joining us here today. This is a great skill that you may already know a little bit about, or you might be fresh to you for the first time, but just what you're about to learn in the next 20-25 minutes could be the difference in you saving someone's life, someone that you know, a stranger that you happen to see at the grocery store that collapses. So this is an important skill to know. So how many have had CPR training before in the past? Couple? Okay, good. So yeah, today we're gonna kind of get the technique down for the compressions, because like I stated earlier, the breaths are important. Getting the oxygen in there is important, but just acting as the pump, because what the heart is a pump, right? It pumps blood out to your extremities and then brings it back through the veins, and then it gets oxygenated in your heart and it pumps it out again. So when we're doing CPR, the heart's not working properly. It's either not beating at all, or it is beating in a rhythm that does not oxygenate the blood, right? So what you're doing by pressing on the chest is acting as you're pumping blood through. Even though it's not getting as much oxygen through the breaths, it's still better than nothing. So it's important to know. So we'll go over how to do the compressions, the proper technique. We're going to throw an AED in the mix. We have these cool little training AEDs that, who knows what AED is? Great. This is that back in when you used to watch ER, George Clooney, when you would get the paddles and it's clear. That's essentially that is what this is, except you don't need to hold on to it anymore. They stick right on the patient's body, and this is automated. It tells you how to do it. You can pick this up for the first time, and it will walk you through the process of how to put it on the patient and shock the patient. So these are really cool.
Hey Chad, what does AED stand for?
An automated external defibrillator. So there's internal defibrillators that you could have. Karen, I might have to go.
I know, I just saw vegetation.
There's defibrillators you can have implanted in you, and those are internal, and this is external.
This
So
might be for you too.
outside of your body.
Uh-oh.
Is what it means. But I'll wait till I get finished.
As you can see, our job is ever changing and quickly in the moment. With Chad being a fire investigator and me being public information officer doing critical
And
communication,
I'm with the town of Windsor.
and Christina, and right now, yes, so we are getting a vegetation fire for here, Windsor to Shiloh Mark West, sorry.
Yeah.
So I saw
It's
Shiloh on there.
Mark West.
It's Mark West, not
Okay.
you. I just saw Shiloh on it.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, but anyways, so let's go over just some technique for an adult, right? So
We gotta go. Why don't you go follow that? I got it from here.
All right.
Okay, so we are very flexible, as you can see, and this is what we do every day. It's like 1 minute we are doing public education, another minute we're helping somebody, and saving lives. So we're excited that you're going to get to save lives too. So I have been doing this for 22 years, and being in public safety, and seeing the change has been absolutely amazing, and how much more our community is willing to get involved and wanting to be empowered and learning these skills. So I am excited you're here today. Can everyone see if I go down onto the floor here and kind of demonstrate? Because if not, I would invite you, and I would love for you to come forward. Because in a minute, I'm going to ask you to actually go hands-on and come down and join me on the floor or on the table to learn these skills. Okay. So when we come into a scene, the very first thing that we want to be prepared is we want to make sure that it is safe for us and for you. So if you see somebody down on the ground, we never want you to go over to them if it is not safe to do so. If they're laying in the middle of traffic, please don't go running out into the middle of traffic, because now we're going to have 2 people that we're going to need to worry about. If they're out in the river and you aren't confident with your swimming abilities, please don't go jumping into the river or into the ocean to try to help save them, because again, we're going to have 2 patients.
That's something we say in the fire service, don't become another patient.
Yeah. So really, really important that the scene is safe. If there's power lines down, please don't go in either. So I'm just kind of thinking of some situations, some scene safety.
Yes.
So we're going to make sure the scene is safe.
Scene safe.
Scene safe. We're going to come up to a person, and we're going to kind of demonstrate this first. We're going to go through it kind of quickly, because it's really not that difficult anymore. And then we'll get you to get your hands on practical and start. You can ask us questions anytime, because I think that's where the real benefit to this is. So,
First step.
first step,
We want to see if they're breathing or not,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to do CPR on someone who's breathing. They don't want that. They don't need that, and they don't want that. It's going to hurt. So,
and before we even get, not before we get to that point, but if you can, you recognize that they're not breathing, something is an issue, if you can get them onto a flat, hard surface, the better. If they're in bed and you cannot move them out of bed, go ahead and start to do this in bed, but just know your compressions are not going to be as effective because of the mattresses. We really want a hard surface if you can, okay? So
how would you check for, how do you tell someone's breathing that may be laying down without their eyes open? How can you tell? You can listen. You can look right. You can look right at their chest. You're going to see a little up and down, and so you can get down real close like this. And if you're not sure, you can rub on the chest. Are you okay? Are you okay?
and we're going to look for that rise and fall.
Just kind of, you can. Are you okay? Are you okay? Just try to get anything from them. And if you don't,
Cautiously though, because if they have like a back injury or neck injury, we don't want to be, these are going to move around a lot more if it's not a full person. Like
just a
Chad's
little shake, just a little.
But I take my hand on the shoulder because this is, again, being trained. I'm a lot older than Chad. A long time ago. Hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? Okay.
I was taught the sternum rub where you just kind of rub right under your chest. Doesn't feel very good. So
Yeah.
you know what's going on.
And then I'm going to look, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to feel. I'm going to use the senses that I have to my ability. So I'm looking for a chest rise and fall. I'm going to listen to see if there's any breathing. And when somebody's having a hard time breathing, you will know it. You can hear it. Okay? And I'm going to feel if there's any air being moved coming out of the nose and mouth. Okay? And I'm like, hey, are you okay? You okay? That's all I need to do before I start compressions. In the past, we used to ask people to check for a pulse, right? And to do 2 breaths. We're not asking you to do that anymore. We want you to start compressions right away. We will check for a pulse and all that kind of thing and do breathing with our bag valve, but the compressions are the most important thing to get that oxygen moving, pumping through the heart back into the brain. Because how many minutes does it take to become brain dead? Or where we see, on average in studies, where we see an effect, negative impact onto our brain functions? Under about 10 minutes, under 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes or so. So that means, in that time that 911 is being called, we're waiting for you, if you can do something to move that oxygen to the brain, then it is going to be less likely or a better outcome for any kind of brain damage, okay? So I'm going, hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? Hey, this person is down and not breathing. Go call 911 and come back. I yell.
And
I yell.
great.
Grab the AED if there's one around. So it kind of depends on your surrounding. For right now, for some reason, I'm picturing I'm out at the Russian River, out on
No
the beach
AED,
or something.
no AED.
No AED. But you never know, there might be one nearby somehow.
Yeah.
But I will yell because I want to make sure I get somebody's attention. I want them to know I'm giving them an order. Call 911 and come back because I'm going to need your help. Because why? We talked about it while we were getting ready. 2 minutes of CPR, I'm going to be so tired. And I'm going to need help. Okay? So, hey, are you okay? You okay? They're not breathing. Go call 911, grab an AED, and come back. You got that?
911, someone's in cardiac arrest.
Okay. Then I'm going to start compressions right away. And what that looks like is I'm going to be on my knees. I'm not going to be sitting back like this. A lot of times people try to do this, No, on your knees, you're going to use your body to your advantage, your body weight, with your fulcrum at your hips. Kids are like, what's a fulcrum? I'm like, oh boy. Okay, 7th grade science and math. Let's go. Let's talk letters. Okay. You're going to put your hands together, whatever's most comfortable for you. I tend to do this. I'm going to lock out my elbows, stay rigid. I'm going to find the center of the chest. How do I do that? Nipple line. Okay? Now, if you are fast and just going, go ahead and do it on their clothes, right? On top of their clothes. But no, when the AED gets there, we got to remove the clothes because we want to put the little pads, the stickers that are on here directly onto the skin. Okay? But like I said, I just want to start going. If I think it's going to be too hard to manipulate all this clothing or whatnot right now, I'm going to do the best that I can to get stuff out of the way, and I'm just going to start compressions. When my partner comes back to help me, that's when we can do, kind of.
And hey, I found an AED.
Great! I gotta start, hold on, I'm gonna do a compression because it's gonna tell me to better do a compression.
Yes, so she wants to keep, she's in that, not gonna stop, I'm gonna turn it on. That's powering up and I'm gonna
Do
listen.
not touch the patient.
So we don't touch the patient.
Analyzing heart rhythm.
You have to throw the pads on, the
Do
pads
not touch the
tell you
patient.
where, you'll
Analyzing
see when you get
heart
closer, they tell you where on the patient to put them. This one's gonna go
rhythm. Shock
above,
advised.
so then
Charging.
it's gonna charge it, and
Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now.
then you
Press
press
the orange button
now.
now. Shock
And
delivered.
then the patient
It is
would
safe
jump a
to
little
touch the
bit,
patient.
and now we continue CPR. With the pads on, safe.
Begin CPR.
So she's gonna continue to do that. This thing is gonna analyze the heart rhythm, so it knows when to give a shock, and it just tells you when to stop touching the patient. And like I said, it's automated. It tells you exactly what to do, as long as you know how to do compressions and you know where to put the pads.
Okay, so all those compressions, how deep was I going? Could you see it? Yeah, about 2 inches, about 2 inches deep. Now, on these ones, I have some other mannequins that you hear this clicking sound, and I like to tell the kids when I'm teaching them that clicking sound, not that clicking sound. Like, it's cool to kids. The clicking sound is like, don't worry about breaking bones. Don't worry about damaging the rib cage. You are going to break the cartilage, okay? We want you to do good, effective compressions. You've got to push a little hard. Yes, Christina?
So if you're in a situation you don't have an AD, 911 is going to be walking you through
This, yes.
this process because your mind is like, oh my gosh, this is super stressful, I'm not too sure what to do, and especially, and I have goosebumps, especially if it's your loved one.
Yes.
That level of additional stress and anxiety. So in this particular case, well, the AED is telling you 911 is going to also.
Yes. And they'll say, do you know CPR? And whether you say yes or no, they are going to walk you through those instructions. And they're going to tell you, put the phone on speakerphone, put it down next to you, and listen to me.
Yes.
And they will just help you stay focused and keep on doing it. And they're going to tell you, okay, the medics are on their way. See if you can let somebody in. Is there a gate? There's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of things, but they're going to tell you, keep doing compressions, follow this rhythm. You're doing a great job. They're going to give you encouraging words to get you through it and to keep you focused on track.
And I have to leave. I have to go to fire. But Karen, you're in good hands. Karen's got you the rest of the way. And then the really cool feature of this is the color.
Okay, cool.
Do you want 2 greens? It's good. The yellow means you're going too fast.
Okay, we got new mannequins.
Yeah. And then that and then 100 to 120
got
is
it.
the rate.
Yep.
Cool.
We're almost
Thank you
there.
guys. Sorry I have to leave.
Bye, Chad. Thank you. Okay, so the compressions, 2 inches deep to be effective, and then how fast do we need to go? So we should all know, and those that were in here when the teenagers were in here, I started saying staying alive for a living. They're like, what's that? They have no idea. So for those of us that know, staying alive, that's about 110 beats per minute. For the kiddos, I tell them, oh, well, you're the baby shark generation. I'm all baby shark, do, baby shark. They're like, oh gosh. But that's how I engage and kind of keep them going. So, yes, that's all there is to it. Yes?
Do you ever pause the compressions if you're done at defib? Just
Nope.
keep going.
You keep going as long as you can until first responders get there, until you get extremely tired. That's why it's really important. And to have, if there is somebody else around, to tell them to go call 911, get the 911 system started, and come back and help me. Because you're going to see real quick, even though it doesn't look like we're doing much, the stress of everything, if it's a loved one, whatever else is going on, a lot of times it says outdoors and it might be 100 degrees outside. Or it could be really cold. It gets tiring really fast. Even for us first responders who do it, I don't want to say we do it all the time, but we train all the time on it, and we have had to use it out in the field, and we know, and we still, you'll start to see us all start sweating. So about 2 minutes in is when we would switch. And if I had a partner over here, I was like, okay, I'm getting tired, we're going to switch in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, count down or whatever it is, and then they're going to switch immediately. I'm going to pop my hands off, they're going to switch immediately because we don't want to stop. We want to keep going. And we will do this for up to 20 minutes to try to save someone. It's very tiring, it's hard, but it is rewarding. Now, I want to go back just a little bit because I kind of skipped over it. How I said we don't have to check a pulse, yes?
How come you don't do breath anymore? Or maybe I missed that.
No, you're fine. We don't ask the community members to do breaths anymore. We, first responders, will come in. We are not going to go mouth to mouth or even with the pocket valve. We're going to come in with our bag valve, and we run a crew of 3 on the fire engines, right? So 2 people to do compressions, or 1 person to do the AED, and 1 person to do compressions, and 1 person to do air. So typically you'll see 3 of us, 2 on the side, 1 in the middle, doing air here. So we will do that. We'll give 2 breaths to, how we normally kind of do. So we're trained a little bit differently on doing it. But for community members, we don't do breaths anymore because we found that people wouldn't help because they didn't want to give breaths to a stranger.
Yeah.
So what was happening was nothing was being done in that critical time that we have to start CPR and to keep brain function, to move oxygen. So we found that studies have shown that the compressions are enough until first responders get there with all the equipment, because then we're going to come in with our heart monitors and everything, and paramedics, and we're going to give you some medicine and to get your heart going again and things going, right?
So if you're not breathing, your heart is done, is quiet.
Not necessarily.
So you won't be harming them if their heart's still going.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is most likely their heart has stopped. But when I said we don't check the pulse, we don't ask community members to check the pulse anymore, once you start to do 1 compression, if they have a pulse and everything, that is not going to feel good to them, and they will most likely spontaneously kind of come back or wake up or whatever it is that was happening to them. But if not, then that compressions are needed, right? So just quickly, since I'm just talking about it, we'll just kind of get there. If you have somebody that's choking and they pass out, we're going to start this also. We're going to try to do thrusts first to get the obstruction out, but if they pass out all the way, we are going to go and start compressions too for that person also. It's kind of one of those things that we just...
Even with the obstructions still there.
Yeah, because most of that motion and those thrusts that we're going to continue to try to do is going to release that, yes.
And if someone's choking and they're by themselves, can we do self-compression?
You can.
If we're able to.
If it's really hard, I mean,
Okay.
even if I try really hard, it's awkward. But what you can do, and we'll demonstrate the chest compressions on somebody here. I'll come back over here, Christine. If somebody's choking, international sign for choking is this, and it's funny, we all do this. We automatically do this, so that does happen. If you see somebody doing that and they're not moving air, as in they're not coughing or anything like that, if they're coughing, try to let them expel it themselves. But if it's not working and they're turning blue, you're going to do an abdominal thrust, make a fist, hand over, and push in. So, like, do I have a volunteer? Sure. Okay.
Sunglasses, I'm losing because you're probably going
So go ahead and turn around and face your audience. So if you were choking, show me that sign that you did. Okay. I'm going to reach around and I'm going to find kind of like in the belly button area. I'm going to make a fist, grab a hand, and I'm not going to do it, but you're going to push that back, like towards you and up. So it's kind of like down and it's kind of back and up. And I want to do it because it is believable.
You can do it.
No. I don't know. Lunch was not that long ago. Lunch was not that long ago. Okay. And now you said if it was, if you were on your own and didn't have anybody, table, any hard surface, whatever you can do to drop yourself on it.
Kitchen counter.
Would be helpful. Kitchen counter, anything. Like you can do, I mean, now I'm doing push-ups. I wasn't expecting that. Right? Whatever you can to drop yourself and do that same type of motion.
Just back under the ribs.
Back and up. Yep, I say belly button.
And then up.
Then
That's what
down,
gets you
back
to the
and up.
ribs.
Yeah, kind of like, and when you do that to somebody, it's going to lift them up. Okay? You're going to kind of lift them up if you know, it's, I mean, depends on the person and your size and their size, but that's kind of the motion that you want, right? You kind of want them to go up on their toes a little bit. Okay? So that's choking. All right.
So you don't try to do anything to expel anything out of it?
No. We will when we get there, but for
You will.
community
You
members,
will,
for you, we don't want you to. I don't want you to get your finger chopped off by somebody's teeth that are really sharp or stuck or any other thing happening, okay? Yeah, you just double thrust. Yes?
What about like, watch this on TV, do they put the tongue depressor, like say you have a nail file?
We have a bunch of tools.
Do we put
No.
anything in their mouth?
No.
Okay.
No.
Like if they're having an epileptic seizure?
Yeah. Nope.
No? Good.
So yeah, if somebody is having a seizure, help them down, right, and get them into a comfortable, safe position, maybe help hold them. It depends on the person and kind of how their mode is of their body and how they kind of seize. Get them to a safe position. I had a person collapse in front of me having a seizure, and I was actually at the farmer's market in Santa Rosa, and literally I was like, it was right here. And I just heard a scream from another bystander seeing her. I turned and I just happened to catch her down and lay her head down on the curb with my hand under it, just so she didn't hit her head. And I kind of was just there holding her shoulders just so, she was okay. I tried to kind of turn a little bit, but like I was yelling, somebody call 911, and my arm was kind of trapped because now I'm on the curb and into the thing, but I didn't want to move it either because I wanted to keep her head safe too. So
is there a position that's better for seizuring? I have a neighbor with seizures.
Yeah, so
Side or anything's better.
yeah, it kind of like also depends on the person and what they're doing too. Okay, but one to remember what we call a recovery position for anyone, because that in case they start to vomit, we don't want them to choke on their vomit. Recovery position is putting them on their side like this. So even after CPR and they come to, we are going to put them on their side away from us, away from you if you can. It's okay to put them this way, but just know that you might get some stuff on you. So this way, recovery position kind of on their side with, it's kind of hard to do that.
You wanted the seizure, huh?
One leg, yeah, over to the side. And
During the seizure too?
Yeah, you can do that too. But again, it's as safe as you can, because sometimes you can't hold on.
Yeah, it's violent, like I've seen a person do that.
So
They were violently shaking.
Get the 911 system started, because there could, whether they have a history of that or not, there could be other things going on, or if they do get hurt or something else happens and they don't come out of it, it's better to have us there and give them an evaluation. Okay, so let's get hands-on, because we're here to do CPR. I've only got a few minutes left. I really want you to be able to try this. You excited?
Yes.
Okay, so I know going down onto, this is, Chad brought my,
Karen, is when you do the compression,
Yes.
either side
either side is
fine.
Yeah, and then those are the little trainers. Everybody knows kind of like the AEDs all look a little bit different. This is mine out of my truck, but this is what they look like here. It's the same thing. Just turn it on, and it'll start.
Connect electrodes.
That's the same thing. And it just walks you through it. So
I have to say, I'm really happy to know that you can put it on and it will tell you whether and use it or not.
Yes,
I was
it's-
like, why would you do it?
yeah, no, it analyzes it, and actually for it to work, you have to have a heart rhythm.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great? So it won't shock if the person does not have a heart rhythm. So that's part of the reason why it's also really important to do CPR and then stop, because it's going to analyze and see if there's a rhythm or not, if there's a shockable rhythm.
What does something like that cost?
They range. There's some that are like for school. There's schools and school programs. I honestly
Well,
don't
we
know.
thought about getting them for my business. That's
Yeah,
why
I
asked.
honestly, because I've been providing them all these years, I have not researched how much they are.
I would
That's a
say
great-
that there's probably grants
Yeah.
through the state that if you have a business and you're going to use them,
Yeah.
you can get money for
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
on events, so.
Yes, for
And there's
sure.
nonprofits too that are working to get AEDs out into the community. So look around, if you Google it, I'm sure you can look something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody? We can team up. I can move one or two onto the table.
I prefer the table.
Let's move. Yeah. Let's move it up to the table.
coming back in here because I am part of this.
Because I want you to learn. Those of you down. Stand want to share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or I'll
Would you
just
like
sit
to
down,
bring
I'll push it
one?
over to you, whatever.
I got another one up here. Here you go. Oh, we got plenty. We have plenty. Okay, so you're going to pick, and you're going to use the meaty part of your palm of your hand, center of the chest, center of the nipple line, and push down. Put your hands however feels comfortable for you. I kind of interlock my hands and I move my fingers up a little bit. You're going to your actually want to be shoulder width apart. And you're going to use your hips right here as a fulcrum.
And what do these buttons mean?
So when you get green, that means you're doing it correctly. It's going to show up on the right shoulder. So you might need to go deeper, you might need to go 2 inches, and you might have to go faster.
There's not one on there.
Yep, there should be more strength back there. There you go. It sometimes takes time, but you can come through, right? But it's so important to do something rather than do nothing. All right.
I think
So,
the problem is.
Yeah, the babies.
Yeah, so I've got, Diana's telling me I got no time. I'm like, oh, no,
We gotta
babies.
save
I go, but I forgot the babies. Okay,
babies.
babies. CPR is going to be the same thing, but we're just going to do 2 fingers. Center nipple line, and you're going to push down. Okay? Same beat, same thing. You're going to do 2 fingers. Now, if they're a toddler, 1 hand. Okay? Young child, 1 hand. Once they get to be about 10 years old or so, and those 10-year-olds are some big kids like my size. You know, 2 hands is just fine, just what you would normally do for an adult. Okay? And then babies choking, we're going to do thrusts on the back. Okay? Support your hand under, on your knee or table. Usually I sit down if I can, and you're going to do thrusts on the back. Let's flip them over. You can look. You can do fingers so we've got on baby. All right, and then continue to do this. Okay? And then CPR baby, 2 fingers. Okay?
As a rhythm?
Same. Their heart beats even faster than our beat. So you actually want to go a little faster if you can. But I just tell people same. You're probably going to go faster anyways because you're nervous and scared and everything else is happening. We tend to speed up what we do.
Yeah. And they're kind of rubbery, like you
And
say,
they are kind of rubbery.
not to worry about.
You don't have to worry about their ribs and things. It's ours that you may hear. Okay, any final questions?
Well, if you're doing CPR, you're pretty much going to be doing it till the paramedics come.
Yes.
There's not a chance that they would come back.
And you
Oh,
know,
there is. People come back all the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then you would stop.
Then you would stop. Put
not
on that
when they arrive,
Put
when
it
they
in.
say switch over.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No, but if the person comes to, put them in that recovery position before, and still, we're not going to cancel now. Well, we're going to go anyways. We go to every call, no matter what.
But
Well,
you
now
haven't
they find
arrived yet.
Yeah, if you have phone service.
Yes.
I think they do.
If you have phone service, so,
I'm out in Casdale.
yeah. So we are talking about GMRS radios.
We have GMRS.
Get on the radio. Have somebody get on the radio. Say, I'm doing CPR. Anybody can call 911 for me. Can anybody, a first responder, anybody CPR trained? I'm starting CPR. Whatever you can say to get help coming to you, especially out in Cas. We've got a great volunteer fire department in Cas. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, amazing people up there.
But you gotta
yes,
have the radio.
but you
with
gotta
you.
have the radio. Ooh, I see a young kid that I know can run fast. Go call 911, grab an AED, and come back. You got it? What's an AED? Good question. An AED is right behind you, Vinny. Is an automated external defibrillator. See it on the movies where they put paddles on and they say, clear, we're going to shock them, right? Everybody clear? And then they put paddles on and shock them and bounces. These now are in a lot of public places. Here in the library, we carry them in our trucks, in grocery stores, in public congregation places like churches, schools, concert halls. This is an AED and anybody can use the AED. Very easy. AEDs, you can open this one here so that you can see it, actually increase the outcome really, really high. I forget the exact percentage at the moment, but I want to say 60% increase. And so basically, this is what a real AED looks like. We're going to show you one of these here. This one's open with the pads. But the cool thing about AEDs is that you don't have to learn too much to know how to use it because it's going to walk you through it and tell you exactly what to do. This is my professional one for my truck or your truck? Your truck. You went to a fire.
I use that one. I use that one.
She didn't take it with you. Okay. Here, this is, you just turn it on. Push the green button that says on.
Connect electrodes.
Walks you through
It's
it.
going to walk us through and tell us even what to do. So I'm not going to continue with this one because it's
That one will
live.
shock you.
You don't want it to be a shock. But we will show you the little one here. Thank you. And we can pull this one here. So this is a practice AED. And it's really important why we want to go ask somebody to go get the AED and come back is because, like I said, this increases the chances so much more. Basically, it's a little machine. That's going to produce electricity with a couple of stickers on it, okay? The
Yeah.
stickers have pictures, shows you where you're going to put it. Do you want to, while we're just talking about it, you want to place those on?
Yeah, they always go to a line through your heart. So this is what is going to jumpstart your heart and get your heart pumping in. You doing the compressions, it's not going to get the heart going in. That's going to pump the blood through the body. But the only way to get the heart going in is really electricity. And like Karen said, it tells you exactly where to put it. You have to put one low on the left, on the patient's left side, and then one up higher.
Because
So
remember,
it's kind of making the electricity goes from one to the other through the heart.
making that closed circuit. Remember back in high school or junior high physics when you're doing circuitry, circuit board stuff, you got to close the circuit to make it work, right? That's what we're doing.
But it needs to go
Yes.
on the skin.
Yes,
It needs
has
to go on the
skin.
skin. CPR you can do over the clothes, but once the AED comes, you're going to be ripping off clothes, or if somebody is there to help you, because you're going to want to continue CPR compressions, they can start ripping off clothes and do that. Yes.
So you want to use this no matter what situation you come to?
Basically.
Wow.
If you're doing
If
CPR
you're
and you
doing
have one of
CPR.
these, you want to get it out and you
And
want
use
to do it.
Okay.
Because even if it doesn't advise you to shock the patient, it analyzes
So
the
rhythm.
heart rhythm, and it will tell you, like, it'll tell you stop CPR, do not touch the patient, and then it says shock advised, and then you shock it.
Or it tells you continue
Yeah.
CPR.
And if you're touching the patient and you shock, the electricity goes.
Even on kids?
Yeah.
Wow.
We have
We have
pediatric
pediatric
smaller
pads.
pads that come in the kits.
And it'll
They're about
tell
half
you-
the size for children.
They'll say PD pads for pediatric pads and adult pads. It's all very basic so that anybody in the community can do this. And like I had mentioned before we started, we teach this to every 7th grader here in our fire district. So even 7th graders, we said you learned when you were a lot younger, we teach 7th graders how to use the AEDs too. Okay? Because we want them to be able to help their teachers or their families. We want you to be able to help anybody out in the community if it's at the grocery store, wherever it is. Okay?
Get back to the de-escalation of conflict. There's 4 steps. The first step is body language. Now I know growing up, my mom had this certain body language when we were misbehaving. She gritted her teeth, she crossed her arms. Occasionally she cleared her throat, but we get in the second step. So the body language, it de-escalates the situation wherever I am. So if I go to Safeway and I walk in with my shoulders back and I'm constantly scanning my surroundings, I've already de-escalated the situation. If I go to Safeway or any of my other outings and I'm distracted with the day's event, I'll tell teenagers, you're distracted by the grades, the drama that you're getting into at school, your relationships with other peers. But if I'm distracted, it sends a huge body language, right? An example of that is a young lady going to Safeway. Out of hundreds of people in and out of Safeway that day, she was selected as a victim, not by her own fault. But she was selected because she was a great, easy target, a victim in the making. She had a little boy with her, and as she's walking out of Safeway, I can only imagine she was distracted by her child and the groceries that she had. She made her way out to the car where the assailant followed her, attacked her with a screwdriver, and accosted her. The only thing that saved her life was honking the horn, making noise, which then the attacker fled. That's not a, for instance, in every situational self-defense success, but it does draw attention to a need. So again, body awareness, right? If I was going to teach you all self-defense, I would say, walk with a purpose, pull your shoulder back and scan the area. I mean, I can go to Safeway and I'm thinking about the grocery list or forgetting what's on the grocery list, but not look that way to people who are watching me. Because I'm worried about, forgetting the eggs or picking the wrong paper towel. So again, walking with a purpose, huge in de-escalation and not being a target of a crime. So do me a favor, just kind of pull your shoulder back and keep your chin up and scan the surroundings. Are you guys here for this, or are you just kind of like...
We're for serving.
Oh, your school.
We're run a school thing. Yeah.
Nice.
I never expected, I didn't know you had a demo today.
I know.
It's a lot of fun.
These are 3 of our black belts here.
All right. Cool.
All right, well, we don't bother you. I'll see you at 4.
See you guys. So again, walking with a purpose. Now, if I go back to the example my mom set when we were misbehaving as children, she would pull back her shoulders, she would cross her arms, she'd put her hands on her hips. And again, we either had the choice to walk away, stop what we were doing, or escalate that situation. So body language, what body language are we exuding or portraying when we walk out in our public lives? Again, it's a huge de-escalation of conflict or being a victim of a random act of violence. On the news, I can use the example of people walking down the streets and getting sucker punched from behind. Again, whether they're in their phone, on their earbuds, or just not scanning the area, or just not walking close enough to a wall. So it does take practice to make sure that we are aware of our surroundings and put aside whatever's going on in our head, because body language is huge, right? So again, yes ma'am.
Why are you saying you should walk close to a wall?
I walk closest to the wall. Number one, you avoid traffic and someone pulling up in a car. Number two is people are forced to walk on this side of me. So I have control as to the side that I choose would work for me in a self-defense situation. If I go to a restaurant, I'm sitting with my back against the wall and I know all my exits. So no matter where I go, you build a habit of being consciously aware of your surroundings, situational self-defense. Because again, I cannot prevent a random act of violence, but I can sure de-escalate it or reduce the risk of being a victim through random acts of violence by the steps that I take to circumvent that. So yeah, I walk close to the wall. An example of that was our family and I were in France, and my daughters were walking aimlessly down the street, looking at the sights. They're already sending themselves out for tourists. So I was walking a few steps behind, and these two guys standing outside of a bar didn't see us. We were pretty far back, but he just kind of started following them. So as I'm walking behind them, I'm watching my daughters and their reaction, oblivious to what was going on around them. They got to a sidewalk that entered a street, and the two guys stopped behind them, which is unusual, for me in that situation. I walked behind the guys, still waited for nothing to happen, and cleared my throat. They realized I was there, and they turned and walked another direction. You'll never know when you de-escalate a situation. You only know when it happens, because I can report it. And usually the report goes, I never saw it coming. Another, on the same adventure or vacation, as I'm walking with a group of ladies and their daughters, one guy was following them for a number of blocks. So as we approached a stoplight, I asked the ladies, do you know this gentleman who's walking behind you? They said, no. He's been following you for quite some time, and their purses were on their arms. I said, well, change the direction you're going, just to let him know you're there. Sure enough, again, as they changed directions, he changed his direction. Not knowing if they would have ever been a victim of a crime, but de-escalation, is something that needs to be practiced all the time. Situational awareness. So again, if I go back to your parents, what de-escalation techniques are you using when you go to the bank? Which is very familiar, we're comfortable with it, right? Safeway. What de-escalation techniques are you using when you go to Safeway? Well, I use the bank and I use Safeway. The gas station. The gas station. Crime happens through opportunity. And if I could reduce or limit the opportunity that a criminal has for me, it does unfortunately open up the other folks that are not situationally aware. And for that, I'm scanning the area so that I can be their voice, make a lot of noise, and draw attention to what's going on. So we all got it, right? The first escalation is body language. Always walk with a purpose. All right, so tone of voice, right? What tone of voice do you use? How many of y'all had kids? How many of y'all have moms and dads? Grandmas, grandpas? A tone of voice? You knew that tone before you got in trouble. So now if I walk in situational self-defense, I'm treating everybody as if they're my child. And I'll talk in that tone that de-escalates that or escalates it. For me, it's always de-escalation. So that tone when I teach kids is the words they know the best. I said no. So if I ask kids to punch or do something, and they're saying, I said no, I can ask a 3-year-old, now say it like your mom. Their nostrils flare, you know this, as you watch the little guy come through the ranks, and especially those three. Tone of voice. So practice, everyone practice say, I said no. Practice say that for me.
I said no.
And everyone say, leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Is there something you need?
Is there something you need?
Guy on the beach, he's out there with his dog, and he's out just kind of on the beach walking. A guy came up to him and said, excuse me, sir, do you have the time? The guy goes, yeah, hold on a minute. Looked down at his watch, and that's the last thing he remembered. When he woke up, his dog and his watch and everything was gone. So, if they're going to select you as a victim, again, I'm keeping you, and I bring my watch up to my eyes. Situational self-defense. Number one, I'm questioning myself, why are you talking to me? And number two, the situational self-defense is the tone of voice that, hold on a minute, let me get you the time. It's about 3 o'clock. Making eye contact and keeping my space. So the first one is psychological, right? The second one is verbal, your tone of voice, how you address people. And it's not in our nature to speak loudly or confidently to people, for the most part. But, well, if you get my wife, she'll absolutely talk with a tone. But if you get with my oldest daughter, she has a very soft tone, and she's very much an introvert. So if we have 4 levels, the first one is psychological, the second one is tone. I'm going to go back to an example of an official that uses this in their everyday life. It's their job to keep our safety. A police officer. A police officer drives up and sets a psychological presence with the car, with the PR-24, with the gun, with handcuffs, with mace, the whole uniform. Now, most of us law-abiding citizens, he's already de-escalated that because we're going to step back. What happens then is you have the challengers that step in. I have every right to be here. Then the police officer addresses that with a tone. The physical presence and a tone. The police officer also knows he can escalate it up to the 3rd level. If we understand a job for public safety, I understand this level of escalation that you and I would not normally, number 1, put ourselves in, number 2, do. So, verbal tones and psychological presence. I'll go back to the story about the young lady leaving Safeway. Psychological presence, the psychological message she was setting aside was, distracted, she had a child, an easy victim. When the guy confronted her with whether it was a screwdriver and all, the escalation was she was quiet, didn't know what to say, didn't know how to respond. And then she went with him. The thing that de-escalated was noise, making noise. Now, had he approached her in the parking lot, she had made a lot of noise then, it may or may not have de-escalated. But the end of the story is, as she honked, it de-escalated. Unfortunately, she was injured and assaulted. So now, what tools can we use for that de-escalation? Body language, tone of voice. The next one is physical. I've taught a martial art for the last 41 years. And the physical part of it is always the most difficult, because getting someone to punch correctly or kick correctly or have the right stance, it takes a lot of practice. So in physical de-escalation, it's just knowing something that's going to get you away. You can know the bare minimum. So the body is really easy. The body's controlled in 4 parts. It's controlled by the head, the shoulders, the hips, and the knees. A lot of our self-defense classes teaches you to kick below the belt. I'm telling you as a guy, the minute you bring up your knee, having sisters, I'm going to do this. You're going to kick me in the leg, and now you're stuck. If you don't constantly take a self-defense class, that's all I got. It doesn't work, and I'm done. So if I know the body goes where the head goes, I'm constantly attacking the chin and the throat. So if someone's going to attack me and grab my wrist, I'm going to attack your head, get you off balance, and run, because I don't have the skill set to continue the fight. Unless I take a jiu-jitsu class, or a Taekwondo class, or an Aikido class. I don't have that skill set. So what skills can I let you walk away with today? That's a rhetorical question. And of course, the last level is lethal. How many of you have fear for your life in nowadays society? So the last level of aggression, the last level of conflict is lethal. If we do these statistics, 1-2% of the population is ever in a lethal situation where I need to use lethal force. A very small percentage of us are in a physical confrontation where I physically have to defend myself. All of us stay in the realm of psychological and verbal. Psychological and verbal. And this is something that can be practiced on your spouse, on a teller at the bank. Just change your tone. How can I help you today? You know what I'm looking for? No, step back. Practice the tone. Whether again it be with a loved one or someone that you're familiar with. Usually it works for the hairstyle because they always cut my hair real short. And I don't want to cut it short. Okay, so psychological presence. Walking with closed fists. Holding your shoulders back and scanning. Huge to de-escalate situations. You're young, probably about 23, 24? 18, I was close. So the key to success is using that same ladder of escalation to get a job, buy a car, get a house. I can use that, those levels of intimidation, by body language when I step in to get a job interview, right? I can step in with a tone, the words I choose to use. Then I can go for the kill or the physical by having a good resume. So we can use that to our advantage because your moms and dads use it, don't they? Psychological presence, cross our arms, tone of voice. How many of you were physically escorted to your room as a child or swatted? There's that physicality, right? That level. Of course, with my mom, we had 6 brothers and sisters, but we were down to 4. So there was a little lethal stuff going on there. So if I can use it to get what I want in life, then I've discovered the secret for self-defense. The levels of conflict, psychological, verbal, physical, and lethal. So what I have is kind of a real simple tool that I'm going to give everybody today, and it's just a keychain. So empowerment comes from confidence. And sometimes we're not confident enough in our in what we're portraying, especially in a new situation. If I go on a cruise, if I go to Rome, I am subject to a lot of criminal element. So if I'm not scanning and I know how to use my hands and feet, what do you all have to use in your, if it does escalate to where you need to do something physical? It takes a lot of, quite a bit of training to train yourself how to block punching. You can have not only the balance and the power and the technique, but also know what to do if it escalates to something else. Think of it as a chess game. However, I'm gonna give you all a keychain. This keychain is called a Kubaton. It's forbidden with a FAA. You cannot take it on an airplane. You have to pack it in your bag. You have to go in a federal court building. You cannot bring this with you. But I can do just as much damage with this as I can with this. Same thing. So with this keychain, if I'm walking out to if I have this connected to my keys, again, it's a source of confidence and esteem and situational awareness. I know that I'm not going to be a victim of random acts of violence. I know just by holding this, my situational awareness has gone up. So I'm going to give everybody one of these. What I would like you to do is put as many keys on here as you can. Whatever keys that you have as far as a house key or car key, don't put a fob on there, key fob on there, because it'll break off. But if you put keys on here, and just have the key to your house and such on this. And the way to use this is by saying, hey, is this something you need? Where did your eyes go? Right to wherever I had my hand, right? And by keeping people away, if you were to come at me, all I have to do is swing it. It's gonna break some fingers. It's a really easy, you just swing it. If you get your hands on me, then all I have to do is poke it. And it causes what we call pain compliance. If I go back to a police officer, if you've escalated it up to the 3rd level, which is physical, I have no other choice but to apply pain compliance to help you understand I need to have control of the situation. And sometimes in the general public, we don't see that ladder of escalation. We just see the violence that's going on in today's society. Okay, give me a good palm right at the top.
You're gonna attack me?
Go, no! Yes, now switch feet for me. No! Good. Good, give it one more time. No! Yes.
You keep pushing until you say, oh. Okay, let me try to get you to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions on hands-only CPR? Yeah.
Something I'm interested with CPR is I've heard that sometimes it can be a helpful certification to get, like if you're looking for a job.
Yep.
Do you know where you might be able to get that inexpensively?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are not providing the certificates here today because this is just community hands-only CPR. To get the certificate, there are local groups like the Red Cross that you can get your certificate through, especially if you need it for a job, like if you're a lifeguard. And you might, or you do need to have CPR, or if you're an educator in school. So some jobs do require it, and so yes, they will want that first aid /
American
CPR.
Heart Association,
does it.
there's a few of them that'll do it. There's a place right over here in Windsor, down by the barber shop.
Yeah.
On Condi, I think it's on.
Condi.
Yeah.
It's right across the street from McDonald's.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So it's in that little shopping center there. I'm
certified.
sure you can get certified there, but if you go to the American Heart Association, you could do, you have to do it, to get it certified, you have to have an instructor, and you have to have.
And so many hours.
Yes.
It's not just quick little 30 minutes here with us, there's
it's like
hours
a day.
and a test, a practical test where you have to demonstrate
30
appropriately.
question test.
And a written test,
A
yes.
30-question written
Practical
test at
and
the
written.
end. If you are there and you pay attention, you'll pass it. And,
You have one.
but yeah, it's about a day. I think it's 8 hours is,
Yeah.
is what they have you do.
But we want everybody to do something rather than do nothing, so just by teaching you hands-on and getting out there, that's important. But if you want to go further, yes, please do and get your certificate. We have ours.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Chris or Diana?
I have a,
No,
You have a wrap-up. Okay, we'll step aside.
Yeah.
I want to make sure everyone's signed up so we can send you some other information. So thank you everyone for coming to our September Windsor Ready talk. Like Vicki mentioned before, on October 14th, we're having the, basically it's self-care during emergencies and being wildfires, smoke ready. So what we're talking about there is anyone who's been here, especially since 2017, we've been through multiple wildfires. Whether or not you realize it, you have been triggered.
Yeah,
You're triggered. You know, anyone, you know, you hear the airplanes or for me this year was the first watch duty alert on the phone, and it was like, already? So those are things that repeatedly happen, and when we have emergencies and if we are experiencing them on our own, so you live alone and everything's coming, that's an additional little stress level. So Jenny Haro from the Integrated Healers Actions Network is going to talk about how to recognize it and how to help deal with it with a little breath exercise also. And I will be talking about Smoke Ready. I'll be giving you practical tips that I have used for my own house. I have a meter that I monitor, and I've found out like my vents leaked, floor vents leaked, my window leaked. So I'll talk about some little tips for that and what the air quality numbers actually mean. Next November Windsor Ready talk will be aging gracefully, maintaining physical and mental health as we get older. So the October one is here at the library. The November one is going to be back at the Windsor Senior Center, and it's still open to all of Sonoma County. And then we have a special one that we've set up on October 13th for GMRS training. So a GMRS radio is a two-way radio, like a walkie-talkie radio.
Like this. It's about the size of this, maybe a little bigger. It's
Yeah.
about that size.
But it reaches further than a walkie-talkie because it uses repeaters throughout the county. So when the internet goes down, when our cell service goes down, we can use the GMRS radios to talk to other people who have that. And we didn't. Christina Owens from the town. Christina's going to be at the training. She will have a radio. So we'll have within our Windsor group, we'll also have the town access to come and give us information. So when things come down, that is going to be held at the Huerta Gym. Like I said, Sunday, October 13th, from 11 to 1. I have all your emails. I'm going to send you information about all these events that are coming up, so you can join us, and it's all free.
And you get a free radio.
Yes, right. That's the big thing about the GMRS. They give you a radio.
And just to kind of let you know how that kind of works with us too. When there's emergencies, natural disasters, flooding, all that kind of stuff, when we spin up our emergency operations center, we have GMRS radio people in the EOC with us. So they're gathering, what's happening out in rural areas or in town or wherever through those communications, because maybe our communications aren't going to be working as great too. So it's just another redundant system and another way to keep communications really important. So they sit with us in the EOC.
And the big thing about that is that's a good time to set up your little neighborhood community, like the COPE program. So at least one of you in your neighborhood gets the GMRS radio, so you can communicate to your neighbors what's going on, so people aren't in the dark. The last thing I want to let you know is on your seats is a survey we ask you to fill out. We take those answers to heart. We're asking you what you want to see. How can we improve? What were the things that were beneficial to you? So if you can fill those out and give them to us, we really appreciate it. Any other questions for Mr. Hauth on self-defense or our fire district?
I got some self-defense questions that I wanted to know.
So you two can hook up, I guess. Anyone else before we end?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you all. Very informative time.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and we hope to see you next month. Take care.
Community members coming.